Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what ruins a movie instantly? Characters acting out of character / being morons just to make the plot work. Immediately makes me see them as puppets for storytelling rather than people, and I stop caring about them. The last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. Especially Tyrion Lannister and Daenerys Targaryen. It's straight up character assassination. Whenever I say, why would they do that? At a movie, my husband says, because it's in the script. And it brings me back down, lol. You guys might enjoy Screen Rant's pitch meeting videos. That's one of their biggest jokes. That all the major issues could be solved by a simple conversation, but instead no, I don't have time to explain, leading to force conflict from misunderstanding. Let me pause no, is too much. Let me sum up. Except he actually does sum it up well and they make a decent plan from it, lol. In superhero movies, when the balance of someone's abilities constantly changes. Especially in fight scenes when a character could end the fight in 2 seconds, but that doest allow for an epic battle scene, so instead that character just randomly decided to avoid using their most valuable abilities. This completely takes me out of the moment. The Flash series lost me because of this issue. Literally every fight with a non-speedster would be over in 0.2 seconds. Every single speedster movie, series, or comic is bad for exactly this reason. Their power cannot be matched. They have to fall through plothole after plothole for there to be a story at all. Forced romance. Sometimes movies don't need it, and that's okay. I do love it when films subvert expectations and the 2 lead characters don't end up together, or just stay really good friends or something. The romances are almost always too shallow. Born out of shared trauma more than actual compatibility. Nothing suggesting an actual healthy relationship. This is why Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock based their relationship on sex instead in Speed. Also forced teen angst. I hate movies and TV shows where the world is ending and everyone's fighting for their lives, but the teen characters are still angry at their parents just for existing. When they give out the whole plot in a trailer. I'm getting so tired of 2+ minute trailers these days. And then they take it a step further by releasing 3, 4, 5 of them. Like, WTF do you expect us to watch? We've already seen all the plot points of the movie. Yeah, they just want us to come to the movie to watch the end. I still don't understand the logic behind 2+ minute trailers. Are you enticing audience or averting them from watching your movie? A forced romance between 2 characters which doesn't add anything to the overall plot. Annoying as shit. Like Hobbit's love triangle between Keely Toriel and Legolas. I hated this one. How did they fall in love? By being the male and female protagonists. Being an attractive male and female is tight. When serious injuries, gunshots, stabbing, hit by car, only affects the protagonists for a second, then they right back into action like nothing happened, but if you sneeze on a henchman he's dead instantly. Edit, the comments most mentioned offenders. Black Widow. Starship Troopers, yes it's satire, I get it, the public has mentioned it continuously, that's why it's here. Netflix The Punisher. John Wick 3. Game of Thrones Arya stabbing. Prometheus C-section. For real. Good guy takes 2 rounds to the torso and 1 to the liver, and still defeats bad guy in a 10-minute hand-to-hand battle. Minor henchman gets kicked in the chest and he's out for the duration. What are you doing, son? Just drop to the floor. Nigel Powers. I loved Austin Powers for this reason. It made fun of many silly concepts. Like henchmen pretending to be doing something during a fight with the hero. Whispered dialogue, ear-shattering action sequences. Living in an apartment and actually care to not piss off my neighbors, the volume spikes and drops kill me. Makes a good movie nearly unwatchable. Breaking the rules they set. The rules of your universe can be as batshit as you like, but once established they should be followed. If an established rule is broken, characters should at least notice that shit isn't right. This is exactly why it was annoying when someone points out a plothole or gap in logic in Game of Thrones. People would always say the show has dragons in it and you're worried about that. Like, yeah, dragons are part of the world, but things still need to make sense. I kind of felt this way about Jurassic World. It appeared the main dinosaur was written in by a child, with ever-expanding powers. 1. He's a T-Rex. 2. Oh good, we can track him down. 1. No, he's invisible too. 2. Thank goodness we have thermal imaging. 1. Maybe he can cover that up too. 2. At least it's solo. 1. Yeah, about that. Bruh. I mean, it hid from Ifrit, so naturally we shall go into its enclosure to investigate. Before receiving tracker info on where it is was some real dumb shit, no argument there. But its ever-expanding arsenal of powers wouldn't have been so bad if it had used them more than once each. I guess once you try to imagine more scenes where it makes use of its camouflage, you realize that a creature that shakes the earth with each step so you can hear it coming from a mile away actually makes for a pretty poor stealth assassin, the tendency those kinds of creatures have to pop out of nowhere and save the day in this franchise notwithstanding. Characters that are brought back alive just to keep the show moving. Somehow, Palpatine returned. They might as well have just called the movie that. Star Wars Episode 9, somehow Palpatine returned. Supernatural would like a word. My first thought as well. Somehow it took me until their mom was revived for me to notice. Scene. Just let me explain. No. Storms out. Reality. Just let me explain. Okay. So why did you text your ex? It's a birthday surprise. He owns an engraving company now. I got you something I needed engraved. Oh. Cool. Edit. I have turned movies off that have totally hinged on this plot. I understand you can be already angry and not wanting to listen to what they have to say, but actual stable adults in trusting relationships do not do this. Find another plot device, writers, this one is dead. Edit 2. For those saying pick another engraving company then. Maybe she knew his talents and chose him specifically because she knew he was really good at his hobby now career. Besides, people can split amicably. Seriously. One person storms out and the other person just stands there doing absolutely nothing. And never makes an attempt to explain ever again. Not even sending a message that couldn't be ignored or getting someone else to explain or simply just shouting the reason whilst they walk away. The other person says don't bother and walks away, so apparently they can never explain the legitimate reason again. And in a lot of them they never resolve things by the other person finally finding out the reason either. They actually then go ahead and play out the story as if that person was wrong and they did the misunderstood thing, and then they have to win them back because of this non-existent mistake they made. When it's so dark you actually can't see what is happening. Also, characters that mumble their lines. Drives me nuts. Especially when it's only dark to illustrate that the story is dark. Cheap as fuck. The nighttime scenes in Lord of the Rings will always be the best dark scene because they actually wanted us to still be able to see what the heck was happening. Shitty fight scenes where I can barely tell what I'm looking at. Gotta do it like Kicksmar where the guy kills 51 people in 3 minutes or so in a cramped and chaotic building, yet you can constantly tell what's going on because of the superb camera work. Yeah, some movies have really stylish action and it's brilliant, others just add the shaky cam onto it and call it a day. People taking turns attacking. Very realistic. When there's a scene that's just advertising a brand. We've got to save the city from the monsters coming out of Pizza Hut, the place where no one out pizzas the hut. What does he do if he gets locked in a car? Does he eat himself to death? Sometimes those scenes are okay. I knew exactly what the link was gonna be, lol. Little. Yellow. Different. I don't care if it was only an Acura RDX product placement and added an extra 3 whole minutes to the movie. Steve Rogers' reflection scene should not have been removed from the movie. I think the Acura bit could be taken out, but him talking to the waitress makes the entire movie make way more sense because they kept focusing on the waitress during the invasion. It was really random without this interaction. Agreed. Because it fits into a compelling character development point for Steve. The world is changed. There's a car that would have been unrecognizable in the 40s and inside a building no less. If they can do it creatively, such that it adds rather than detracts from the substance of the movie, I think it's the exception that proves ARP's rule. Lol, I love when movie characters open up Bing instead of Google. And they do it on their Surface tablets. Showing and then telling anyway / treating the audience like idiots. Or when the big reveal happens, and then they have to give you flashbacks to the other moments in this short movie that foreshadowed the reveal. When people figure out someone's password in literally no time. When they look at various things around the desk and that clues them into the password. That's why my password is picture frame. Also, whenever some scientist gives the main character precisely one USB stick with critical, world-saving data on it. Come on. Flash storage is cheap, duplicate it a few times so society doesn't collapse when he drops it. Hand out a gift basket full to all 5 members of the party. Poorly fleshed out character motivation and intelligence, like an astrobiologist illogically taking off their protective gear on an alien planet. A real astrobiologist wouldn't do the one thing you're absolutely not supposed to do, and now they are infected, and it was just a lazy way for the screenwriter to get from point A to point B. Poor communication between characters, when setting up or resolving conflict, depends on characters illogically choosing to withhold information from each other, because there's no time, or I'll explain when we get there. More lazy writing. The older I get, the more it takes me right out of the story when lazy writing shows through. Prometheus or Alien Covenant. Alien Covenant was even more dumb because they didn't even bother with helmets. I guess their ship scanned the entire atmosphere. Or something. I used to moan about these films for years, saying that no one in their right mind would remove/not bother with their protective gear in a potentially harmful environment. Then the pandemic happened. Now I feel that I owe the writers a groveling apology because they were simply right on the money. I immediately thought of Prometheus. My wife watched the beginning of the movie with me and she stopped watching the instant the helmet came off. These are terrible scientists. They don't know if there are unknown pathogens in the air. They are probably all going to die. When they started taking off the spacesuits in Prometheus, I thought being comically reckless and stupid would be brought up as a major point. Like everyone screaming at him, "What are you doing?" Nope. Everyone just accepted it because otherwise the plot wouldn't work, which it did not, anyway. What's silly is they could have just made the alien force its way into the helmet despite precautions. Them being dumb adds nothing, except makes the human seem unrealistically dumber and the alien less overtly powerful.